Welcome back from the break. You're watching Morning Rush, Thursday edition of the show, and well, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. Offset is getting interesting already, but joining us this morning is our guest Alhaji Rabiu Mode, who is the PRO of the World Hausa Day Organizing Committee. We're talking World Hausa Day. We asked the question earlier that, did you even know that there was a day like this, World Hausa Day? Anyway, we'll get into the conversation, but we're also live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana. Watch us on there and also on DSTV channel 277. So let's get to Alhaji, who is in all white this morning. Alhaji, Lafia.
Lafia.
Yes. How are you doing?
Yes.
How are you doing in Hausa?
Lafia.
Oh, that's a Lafia.
No, Lafia is how are you?
How are you?
And then I will respond Lafia lo.
Oh, okay. Lafia.
Lafia lo.
We thank God. Now,
Now good is thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I need to be sharpening my skills in other languages a lot. But anyway,
eating tools after too long.
It's good to have you here to talk about this day. I mean, in the first place, how important is it for you and all Hausa people that a day like this is set aside to celebrate, the people and the language also?
It's significant, very significant, because Hausa and the language in itself has contributed meaningfully to international trade, international peace and reconciliation. The culture, the people has been remarkable. I mean, in sub-Saharan Africa, it's probably the most widely spoken language. And even in Ghana, from the northern, from maybe the middle belt up, it's next to the Kan dialect or the Tree language. It's the next most widely spoken language. And Hausa culture has creeped so much into the fabric of the Ghanaian society, and it has not been really given the due recognition that it's supposed to be given. And I think that on a day like World Hausa Day, where all Hausa-speaking people, aside the Hausa people themselves, Hausa-speaking people are people that are not originally Hausa, but use the Hausa language for their trade, for other things like proselyting, that's his religion, preaching and all of that, and for many other things. We think that the day is a huge day to mark and to show the importance of Hausa culture and its language and its relevance to society. Yeah,
it's because for a day like this to be recognized, that means that it needs to have been spoken by a lot of people, and that's what I was going to come to. That what was the the population percentage like,
So in West Africa or in Africa, I would say next to Kiswahili, Hausa is the most widely spoken language in Africa.
Okay.
Yes, and you have Hausas in more than 8 countries, especially in West and Central Africa. So and because of its the use for the spread of Islam, you'd realize that most people even confuse Muslims for Hausas because it's become like synonymous.
Yes.
So Hausa is like a go-to language when it comes to the spread of Islam, basically in West Africa. So you go to countries like Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Niger, Nigeria, Benin, Cameroon, all the way to Central African Republic. You go to Chad, Sudan, you find Hausa people there.
Yeah.
Okay.
On a day like this, like you said, you actually it's set aside to recognize the culture, the language, and everything. But what is the Hausa culture? When someone says we are recognizing the culture, what exactly is the Hausa culture?
So when you see somebody wearing something like this, typically a Hausa man has his own civilization, and it was one of the reasons that it was very difficult for the British to actually colonize the northern parts, and they had to use indirect rule. I mean, they had their own systems of government, their own systems of chieftaincy, and their own traditions. If you can see me in this garb, the Hausa man would wear a lower piece, which is a pair of trousers, the shirt, and then the outer one, and then a cap. And then aside that, you probably have something we call a keba, something that you wear on like a gown, like a suit, and then you'd probably wear their sandals. So physically how they look, and then the women typically would wear, their cloth wrapped around, and their headgear, which is called a diku, which has been, you know, now you call it the duku.
Duku.
It's actually Hausa. Okay.
And what is it?
Diku.
Diku.
Yes.
Wow.
So mostly you'd find Hausa women, you know, bringing this culture in. Aside that, you'd find that the Hausa man, his chieftaincy, you know, is superb. You'd find many of the current chiefs now even using Hausa titles, you know, for their chieftaincies. Aside that, horsemanship, sportsmanship, and then sheer valor. If you remember, one of the reasons that the Ashanti Kingdom became part of the British Empire or the Gold Coast was the last war that was fought, the Ashanti Anglo Wars, which they brought in Hausa soldiers from the now Nigeria to come and actually fight the Ashantis to get the Ashanti Protectorate as part of the Gold Coast colony that became Ghana now. So yes, valiant Hausa soldiers, very truthful, also because partly of their religion. Then fantastically their food. We've been enjoying Hausa food. If you've been enjoying your chinchinga, it's Hausa.
Oh, of course.
If you've been enjoying your tuunzafi, it's Hausa. If you've been enjoying your favorite, the number one export of Ghana, which is probably, it's actually wake.
Wake. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Hausa. If you've been enjoying your morning cocoa, Hausa cocoa, it's Hausa.
Yeah.
So, but all of this has not been exploited and you know, marketed well because you know, if you don't tell your story, nobody else will tell it to you. So Hausa culture, language. I mean, if you hear Bafira, if you hear words like
Nagode,
Yade, all these words that have become a fabric of the Ghanaian society are Hausa, and they should be celebrated for that.
What about Omutu?
Tuwon Shinkafa, we call it, yes. So it's actually Tuwon Shinkafa, it's Hausa, but of course you've what do they call it?
Modernized it.
Or, yes, into tree.
Okay.
And it's Omutu. Omutu is Hausa, yes.
It's Hausa.
It's Tuwon Shinkafa.
And thank you very much,
you
Kiki.
Tuwon Shinkafa.
Yes. Shinkafa is rice and tuwo is the tuwo, so Tuwon Shinkafa.
Combined.
Oh, okay.
So
originally it's an imported staple. It's not very Ghanaian.
One of my favorites.
Yes.
Well, every food is my favorite. but I mean, it's interesting to hear all of these.
All these
education. I mean, it's really exciting. And it gets to a point in our society where, because as you say, if you do not speak for yourself, there'll be a narrative that will be you know, laid on a path for you, and for you representing the Hausa people at this point. What are some of the laws and misconceptions that people have about Hausa people that you think is quite disturbing and the narrative needs to change?
Right, excellent question. I think that because of the role that Hausas have played in the advancement of Islam, people think that all Muslims are Hausas.
Okay.
So in fact, in the past, in Accra, if you were Muslim, they would say Usoli or Hausa.
Okay.
That is to say that you are Muslim, because Hausa people have been, in fact, the current national chief imam is Hausa. Okay, the current Dr. Sheikh Osman Shaributu, the national chief imam who serves as a beacon of peace, you know, in Ghana, is actually Hausa. The other misconception is that Hausas are not Ghanaians.
Oh.
And for that reason, sometimes Hausa people and people from the Zongo communities get real problems acquiring basic things like passports and Ghana cards and accessing simple things that Ghanaians, ordinary Ghanaians, should access easily. But Hausas have been here for over 400 years. I mean, since the 16th century, Hausas have been trading and worked with all the empires in present-day Ghana. I mean, if you see, probably recently, you'd see the Ashanti king wearing resplendent kente with Arabic inscriptions on it. It tells you that in the 15th, 16th, and 17th century, the Hausa writers who were already educated, because, you know, Islam came into West Africa way earlier than Christianity. They were more educated using Arabic text, and they would be the scroll writers for the Ashanti kings. They were, you know, sent as emissaries to, you know, deliver messages and things like that. And they were also spiritual consultants, you know, because of Islam. They would offer spiritual services and guide for the Ashanti Kingdom, the Dagomba Kingdom, and so they've been here for well over 500 years. The mass exodus of Hausa people, I would say, happened in the 18th and 19th century. So in 1850 all the way coming up to the 1900s, then you saw a larger group coming in. Don't also forget the Glover soldiers that came in from now called Nigeria, because even Ghana is older than Nigeria. Yeah. Then Nigeria, of which the current chief imam's grandfather is part of those soldiers that were brought in to fight the Ashanti Kingdom that actually amalgamated the south of the Gold Coast, the Ashanti Protectorates and the northern protectorates and the Transvolta Togoland that came to form this Ghana that we say is Ghana. So Hausas have been here and have been part of the Ghanaian fabric for hundreds of years, and they should be seen and recognized as such.
Because you have houses everywhere.
Yeah.
Like in every Volta region.
Yes, you have.
Everywhere.
Ashanti
everywhere.
region.
Ashanti, the northern region,
everywhere.
Greater Accra, central region,
Yeah.
western region. You have. It's just that we don't have one common geographical area that you can call Hausa. So like the Guans were spread all over the country, and I am originally from Greater Accra, center of Accra. So my hometown is actually Zongolen, just around the Central Post Office, and our chieftaincy has been there for 118 years.
Okay.
Yes, so if I say I'm Hausa and my hometown is Zongolen, people don't understand it. Like, how are you from Central Accra and that is your hometown? But everybody else came to meet us there.
Yeah, but since you are here, I want us to touch a bit on this.
Right.
Like you said, everyone thinks every Hausa is a Muslim.
Yes.
And Muslims pray 5 times.
Yes.
They read the Quran
Yes.
and they fast and everything. How do we get some of the houses being like not Muslims but Christians?
Right. So it's religion, it's faith.
Okay.
So today, if you think that, okay, I am a religion and over time I don't think that is serving my purpose and I want to try new things, and then you come across Islam and you think it works for you, it's faith.
Okay.
So you don't designate any ethnic group with any faith.
Okay.
So there are Akans that are Muslims. They call them Asante Kremo.
Yeah.
There are Gans that are Muslims. Okay, you call them Ga Muslims. There are Ewes that are Muslims.
Yeah.
So the religion has to be separated from the ethnicity or the ethnic group.
Okay.
Anybody else can be Muslim.
Okay.
Right. So Hausa people happen to be more Muslim because a larger population of them converted into Islam.
Yes, okay.
Christianity didn't quite get to them early. So most of them became Muslims before they were animists, traditionalists. Yeah. And then most of them became Muslims. And then they took it upon themselves to spread Islam in West Africa. So it became sort of synonymous, Hausa people and Islam. But you still have current day Nigeria and other places where Hausas are Christian.
Yes.
But mostly, if they are not Muslims, they are traditionalists.
Okay.
So our former president,
Yes.
John
Dramani Mahama.
Yes.
So he is Gonja.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not Hausa.
He's not Hausa.
He's Gonja and he's a Christian.
Okay.
But there are Gonjas that are Muslims.
Muslims.
So it's just faith.
It's just faith.
Just
okay.
faith.
So the underlining factor is the faith.
Yes.
It's the faith.
Okay.
Wow. Thanks for the education.
Yeah. I mean, we're having a very insightful conversation on the show. If you just joined us, we're talking about World Hausa Day with our guest, that is Alhaji Rabiu Maude, the PRO for the organizing committee for this day. Now, let's get into the day. Over the years, what has been the celebration like, World Hausa Day?
Right. So it's had an international day and is celebrated worldwide. People from all over the diaspora, parts of Africa and in Ghana. It started about four years ago. Okay. This is the 4th edition in Ghana. And last year was at the State House. Okay. And this year is also at the State House. The reason for the State House is that we want to create that awareness and of the importance of the ethnic group and the language and the importance and relevance of the language in Ghana and how it can help with national development. Okay. So you have typically members of the diplomatic community coming. You have state officials, government officials. You have organized civil service, people from the civil service, traditional groups, traditional leaders all over. You invite everybody that wants to come and enjoy Hausa culture. All the foods, we are going to display over 20 or 22 kinds of, fura, right? I don't know if you know fura. You call it fula.
Oh!
Yes, it's actually Hausa.
Okay.
Yes. And there's a new one called kilishi. It's sort of jerk beef. It's flat, it's spicy, and all of these are export potentials for Ghana.
I only love Lamunjin.
Lamunji, yes, excellent.
What about Burkina?
All of them. Okay. So all of these are potential exports for Ghana. How can we leverage on some of these things? Create employment, and then also as a form of what do they call it? Tourism. Attract people from the diaspora to see that Ghana has Hausa people, Hausa culture, and that can create revenue, for the country. Do you know that every year at Eid al-Fitr, we have a horseback procession, from Adabraka all the way to High Street?
No.
Every single year. We've done this for 100 years.
Really?
It's not been showcased. In the past 2 episodes of Afrochella, Hausa people have represented. Yes, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, we saw it.
So I was actually the chief, sitting in my whole glory as the Hausa chief with all the horses.
Oh, the decorated horses.
Yes, and all of that. So it's part of, showing Hausa culture as Ghanaian and also exporting that. And it's bringing in a lot of revenue for the country, and for that, we should be recognized.
Oh, then this year I'm going to look out for you.
Listen, when we get to when we get to Afro Future,
Afro Future,
as the name is now, we'll be looking at where is Alaji. We'll look for you there. So today, what exactly will be happening at the State House?
So it's on Saturday.
Okay, so it's on Saturday.
Yes, the World Hausa Day actually is on the 26th of August every year.
Okay.
So this year it happens to fall on Saturday. It will be at the State House at 2 p.m. You have. We've also opened vendorship where people can come and exhibit the things they're selling. So Hausa perfumes, Hausa cosmetics, all the garbs, Hausa
the
food,
shea butters,
and all of that, And then also you're going to have the traditions, the dance, the culture, the language, the spoken word, the poetry, fluency in the language. You'd have drumming and the flutes. Nice flutes that that Hausa exhibits, and then of course the crown of it all is the horsemanship. It is excellent. I'm a good horseman. I've got 2 horses. It's an excellent sport. You'd come and see young men showing their skills in horsemanship, and and the garb, the dressing, it's remarkable. You should come and see it. Saturday, 26th of August, 2 p.m. at State House. You don't want to miss it.
I think, the way Elijah is looking already, like, I can picture myself there on a horse. Nana, can you imagine me?
You've never been on a horse? I have been.
Not the one by the beach.
No, this one was at a resort, and that's when they actually taught me how to navigate.
Okay.
It's
like driving.
Slide it here, slide to there, and how to sit on it properly. Where you have to sit so that it doesn't slant in ways that you don't like.
Okay.
So please,
it's okay. We'll get a horse for you. So wrapping up this conversation, it's been really, really insightful. I've enjoyed every bit of it. I mean, for people out there, as you mentioned, there wasn't that spotlight.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about it. Who should be coming? Who is, invited to this program?
Yeah.
The general public, really and truly, we want to sell ourselves. Even though Hausa has been here for a long time, it is important that we let it out there. We let people know what our culture is. And then also it sort of clears some of the biases, because people always, when you say, oh, you're Hausa, oh, you're Nigerian, And sometimes it gets unnerving, but it's okay. I think that when you educate people and then you open up into the spaces and people understand you, it fosters greater unity and cohesion. And I think that is the main goal, for peaceful coexistence in this country. So we're open armed. Everybody is invited. The media is invited. All of you are invited. When you come, I'm sure you will taste something that you've never tasted before.
True.
And you will go home with a new viewpoint of Hausa people in Ghana.
Saturday. Nah, we like a for pies there. For the wake, the fura, and
Masa, Kose, all of those
Yeah.
are Hausa dishes.
Chinchinga has to be
Chinchinga
there.
oh,
Chinchinga
is-
kakra, the jene kakra,
Yeah.
and the mepo kakra.
Alhaji, thank you so much for coming.
You're
I really do
welcome.
appreciate you
You're
coming
welcome.
through. So Alhaji Rabiu Maude is the PRO for the organizing committee of this year's World Hausa Day. That happens to be on Saturday, the 26th day of August, and it will be happening at the State House. So you're all invited to come experience the Hausa culture. Some people who are also not Hausa people but speak Hausa. Winston Taki in the newsroom is always speaking Hausa, although he,
Yeah, that's my guy.
Oh, okay, Mr. Taki, big shouts to you.
Boy.
Yeah, big shouts to Mr. Taki.